Hi everyone, it's Lindey. Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk to you about how to sell safely on Facebook Marketplace during this pandemic. So as I have mentioned in previous videos, selling locally is a big part of my reselling business model, and almost all of my local selling is done through Facebook Marketplace. A question that I've been getting a lot over these last couple of months from all of you guys is, am I still doing local sales because this pandemic is going on? And so I wanted to create a dedicated video discussing how exactly the pandemic has affected my local sales and what I am doing to make sure that I keep myself, my family, and my buyers safe during this sensitive time. This last weekend was actually the first time that I have had one of my local pop-up sales in over 2 months. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about what a pop-up is for me. I did a video all about it. I'll link that up here. I had discussed how I made almost $1,000 in 2 hours doing one of my local pop-ups using contacting direct clients for that pop-up sale rather than doing like an open sale like someone would do with a garage sale. But that pop-up sale that I had this last weekend was my first time having multiple people actually to my house. However, I have still been using Facebook Marketplace as a way to do one-on-one sales. And so that is what this video is about, because I want to give you guys all of the tools that you need to conduct one-on-one Facebook business safely. So if you're not currently using Facebook Marketplace to conduct any reselling business, I do highly recommend that you give it a try. There's a lot of things going on with Facebook right now that leads me to believe that in the very near future, there's going to be a lot of opportunity to make very good money using Facebook. So before I get into some tips on how to conduct business on Facebook safely, I wanted to tell you guys about the sponsor of today's video. Skillshare is a long-time supporter of my YouTube channel, and they have partnered with me to sponsor this video because they have a wealth of knowledge on their platform. Skillshare is a site with over 20,000 classes in the arts and business. You can learn basically anything on Skillshare, including very resourceful information about Facebook. If you don't have a lot of experience with Facebook, but you've been wanting to learn more about creating Facebook pages for your business, or even setting up a Facebook shop so that you can sell directly to your buyers using Facebook, which is what I see being a very lucrative option in the very near future, Skillshare actually has multiple classes discussing how to set up Facebook shops, Facebook pages for professionals, Facebook pages for businesses, and even classes on how to run Facebook ads to drive traffic to your sites. I have been seeing a lot of things while selling on Facebook Marketplace that leads me to believe that Facebook is really trying to push into becoming a sales platform. And I think that this is an opportunity where we can actually use Skillshare to our advantage to learn how to do things like creating a Facebook shop or a Facebook store on the platform, or using Facebook ads to generate traffic to sell merchandise. And because Skillshare sees the value in us, they are gifting up to 1,000 of my viewers 2 free months on the Skillshare site. So if you use my link, you can get 2 free months of classes on the Skillshare site. And then after that, it's a very, very affordable membership. You can actually get a premium Skillshare membership for under $10 a month, and that gets you access to unlimited classes. Use the link in my video description and it will get you 2 free months to check out the Skillshare platform. Okay, so now let's say you're perfectly comfortable with listing on Facebook Marketplace. What is the best way to safely conduct business? In my opinion, the absolute safest thing for you to do is to avoid cash exchanges and do porch pickups or drop-offs. That is how I have personally been choosing to remain as safe as possible when conducting business during this pandemic. As we know, money, cold hard cash, is extremely dirty enough without factoring in this nasty virus that has been plaguing our globe. If we didn't worry enough about where that cash came from, we're even more worried now. So the best practice is really to avoid cash completely. One of my absolute favorite things that Facebook has enacted over the last year or so is Facebook Pay, primarily because not only is it instantly deposited into your bank account, but there are no fees associated with taking funds this way. Yeah, that's right. No fees. You get to keep 100% of the money that the buyer pays you direct to your bank account. And I honestly have no idea how long 0 fees is going to last, but let's take advantage of it while we can, shall we? Setting up Facebook Pay on your end as the receiver, or setting it up on your end as the buyer wanting to transfer money to another person is also really super easy. You didn't have to even jump through the hoops of knowing your routing number and your account number. You could seriously just link it up using your bank debit card. Truth be told, I didn't even have it set up before somebody sent me money. I had actually received a notification in my Facebook Messenger that someone had sent me funds. I didn't even know how to link my card, but I received an alert that there was funds waiting for me, and it actually prompted me and walked me through the entire process of linking a debit card. And the minute I linked that debit card, the deposit was instantaneously in my bank account. So now from the buyer side, I actually have my app pulled up right now. From the buyer side, if you've been communicating with them via Facebook Messenger, all they have to do is hit the little plus sign and then select the little dollar symbol, and they can enter in an amount. After they select the amount that they want to pay you, then they would hit pay. Or if I, as the seller, am wanting to request funds to the buyer, I would simply do that same thing. I would hit the dollar sign and I would select my dollar amount, and then I would hit request, which would prompt the buyer to complete the transaction on their side. And it is as simple as that. It is all completely instantaneous. But let's face it, not everybody wants to sign up with Facebook Pay. And I have come across several people that don't have it set up, nor do they have the desire to set it up. And so there are 2 other options to avoid using cash if they don't have Facebook Pay. The first one being PayPal. They can send you funds through PayPal by using your email address. They can actually just send you money themselves, or if they don't know how to do that, you can request that they send you money in PayPal, which is very similar to generating a very quick invoice. You just simply hit request in PayPal and you send the request to their PayPal email and they can pay you from there. Or you can use the functionality of paypal.me/your user. For instance, mine is paypal.me/LINDEYGLENN. So if somebody doesn't have Facebook Pay and they would rather use PayPal, I just simply send them the link of paypal.me/LINDEYGLENN. They can click on it and submit a payment to my PayPal account in an instant. And then the final way to avoid cash is to use the Square app. So now this one is actually my least favorite to use if you're not in person with somebody. I do really love using the Square tool to do payments whenever I have a pop-up sale, because not everybody wants to use cash. I actually prefer that they use cards because it's a lot easier for me to track. But Square actually has this little device here. It's a little tool. This is actually a scanner tool that you just simply plug into your phone. You just plug it into the port of your phone and you can just swipe cards on the spot. I love this tool. I actually use this if I do in-person sales, like I mentioned, with a pop-up. You can find these on Amazon. I believe they're $10. I'll go ahead and link it below so that you can find it a little bit easier, but you do need to find the Square reader that actually goes with your phone. Like I have the iPhone X. I can't use a standard port reader because I don't have an auxiliary port. I just have the little spot for charging. I don't know what it's called. It's this one. It's the whatever that one is. So you do need to select a reader that is compatible with the port on your phone. But I'll go ahead and link one down below just so you can get an idea of what they look like, and they're around $10. But if you don't have a reader, you can actually type in somebody's card number manually using the Square app. So the Square app is completely free. However, they do take a small fee, very, very similar to PayPal. I believe it's 2.7% plus a 25 or 30 cent per transaction fee. Not exactly sure if I'm being honest. But so when you open up, I'll show you right here. When you open up the Square app, you would just simply type in the dollar amount that somebody is paying you. And if you had the card reader, you would just simply type in the dollar amount like this and then just swipe the card, and the transaction would be all completely automatic. But if you don't have the card reader, what you would be doing in this sense is you would simply tap on charge, and you would say manual credit entry, which is the second one. And from there, you would just type in all of the numbers on the card. Now, the reason why I don't like to use this as an option is because that's an extra level of trust that the buyer has to actually type in their card number through Facebook, which if they're willing to just manually type in their credit card or debit card number through Facebook, why not just link up Facebook Pay? And then there's also this level of trust of, are you as the seller going to delete that number, or are you just gonna take it and run? So I don't see how somebody would be more willing to do it this way versus the other two ways I just talked about, but it is an option nonetheless to use the Square reader. It is a good way to avoid cash, and those funds are directly deposited into your bank account, but it is not instantaneous like it is with Facebook Pay or PayPal. It actually does take a day or two for those transactions to be sent from Square into your bank account, and then it might take a couple more days of processing with your bank. So definitely not instant, but it is an option if you cannot or the buyer does not want to use Facebook Pay or PayPal. The Square app is another way to avoid using cash when it comes to doing local sales. But a benefit to not having those transactions be instantaneous is that Square will end up sending all of your sales in one lump. So if you do happen to have a pop-up like I like to have, or if you have several local transactions in a single day, which is typically what I do, it's very, very rare that I will just have one sale in a day. There will usually be several. So rather than having a whole bunch of transactions come into my bank account and over the course of a day, it's all lumped together. And so what Square will do is they will lump all of your sales together and generate a report for the day, and then they will send you the funds in one lump. So I actually like that Square does it that way rather than, you know, a sale here, a sale there, and having them just drop in one at a time into my bank account. I would rather have it all lumped together, which is exactly what Square does. So when you completely eliminate the need to exchange cash for goods, that's when it makes pickup or drop off a lot more conducive to this whole pandemic situation that we are all currently dealing with. Because when the transaction is completed electronically, then it's just a matter of getting the goods to the buyer. So depending on your living situation, what you're comfortable with, if you live in an apartment, if you live in a house, if you live in a rural area, that's when it's up to you to decide how exactly you want to give the goods to the buyer. So depending on the situation for myself, I do conduct a lot of business with the same buyers over and over again. That's why I have a client list that I deal with. I talked all about that client list in one of those videos that I've linked up here. So if it's a repeat client that I have at my house, they already know where I live, they come to my pop-up sales, they've bought from me over Facebook Marketplace several times, I will just simply ask them to let me know when they're going to stop by, and I will just leave the item in a bin on my porch for them to pick up. They, as the buyer, appreciate that because it's completely contact free. I don't have to see them. They don't have to see me. We don't have to worry about exchanging cooties. They can just pick it up off of my porch. Or if I don't know who they are and they, as the buyer, are a little uncomfortable with coming to my house, I can simply arrange to drop it off on their porch when I am out running errands. And we've done that several times before too. They've been a little bit uncomfortable with coming to my house because they don't know who I am. So I just let them know, give me their address, and I'll drop it off on their porch when I'm out running errands, and that has always been perfectly fine with buyers. So if somebody is wanting to meet, or if you are wanting to meet in a public place, the absolute safest way to maintain social distancing is for you to actually leave the item on the hood of your car and then sit in your vehicle. From there, when the buyer arrives, they can simply get out of their vehicle, pick up the item off of the hood of your car while you sit inside. That is what truly ensures that there is no contact. It maintains the most physical distance, and you are separated by a car door. And of course, if you have been unable to complete the financial part of the transaction electronically, let's say you as the seller wanted to only accept cash, or the buyer wanted to avoid all electronic transfers and just pay you in cash, it would be at that time the buyer would leave the cash on the hood of your car and remove the item, and then you would be able to exit the vehicle after they have removed the item to get the cash. Just make sure it's not a windy day, and if it is a windy day, make sure to have a rock or something nearby so that they can leave the funds on the hood of the car. And then of course, make sure to use hand sanitizer, or you could even do something like have a baggie, and you could actually pick up the cash with the bag and close the funds in the bag, and then you could sanitize it as necessary if you were worried about the virus being spread through the cash. And now some of these things might sound really extreme, you know, leaving money on the hood of a car, putting things outside, leaving it on the ground and sitting in your vehicle and watching somebody pick up the merchandise and leave cash, and then picking up the cash with a baggie, spraying it down with Lysol. I know that it all might sound very, very extreme, but we have to also understand that some people live in much more populated areas, and so spreading that virus is a real concern for people. I do live in a very rural area where there is not as many people in a small area, so the virus doesn't seem to be spreading as much where I live. There are very few cases, and we are all still taking proper precautions by wearing masks and limiting the number of people are in stores, and I don't even think that we have any restaurants that have an open dining room yet. We are still taking precautions, but there are areas that are very heavily populated, and so those kind of precautions might sound strange to some people, but to those people living in heavily populated areas, picking up cash with a baggie or making sure to sit in your vehicle while a buyer takes something off the hood of your car, that is essential for safety. Even though there is a pandemic going on right now, we can still conduct local Facebook marketplace business as safely as possible, and I hope that these tips gave you some ideas on how to be even safer out there. Right, you guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and videos like it, please give it a thumbs up. That way I know it and I can continue to create content like this. Don't forget to check the video description. I will put a lot of useful information in there, as well as the link to get you 2 free months on the Skillshare site. Also, make sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and ring the notification bell. That way you'll be notified whenever I post new content. And as always, leave comments and questions down in the comments below. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you guys with my next video. Bye-bye.